We're live. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another 42 Level 1. I am one of your hosts. Am I coming through loud?
No, fine.
No? Cool. Alice Kennedy, and here with me, as always, is the former Twilight Princess of all games, the current Twilight Princess of YouTube, the Uncharted 3 liar and denier, the man of many names, but we just call him one, Andy.
Mr. Anjoker here as always, yes. Back once again.
Like a renegade master. Default damager, power to the people. See, the fun thing with those songs when you've got kids is like letting your kids listen to them and seeing your kids really get into them, and then realizing they're like 20 years old now, and you're like, this is like my mum's showing me like songs from 20 years ago.
That song's probably older than that. Like Maui.
Yeah, it was probably
all music
early 90s.
She's like, "What is this, Dad? I don't like this."
I was listening to Rob Zombie. I can't remember the name of the song.
The one that's in the Matrix?
No.
That's
that. And I'll take you there. No.
Yeah, Dragula. That's the Matrix song's called Dragula. I don't know Rob Zombie that well, so
it was just one of his because like I've got playlists, and then I was listening to what's the name of them? Dun Batista's song in the wrestling, and they were in the Fast and the Furious first film.
I mean, you're not giving me touchstones here.
I can't remember. I was listening to it, but it's just funny listening to those songs. And then, like, there was one that I put on. What was it? My lover's got no money. You know, Freed from Desire. Lexi starts singing it. It's a good song. Lexi started singing it, and I'm like, "What's that?" And she goes, "I know that song." Turns out one of our wee pals brings a mobile phone to school, and like they listen to songs in the playground. And obviously, I forget. Lexi shares my Apple Music, so she listens to that. And then I don't mind, right, the odd swear word. But then the other day, all I heard was, "My tea's gone cold, I'm wondering why." And I ran upstairs going, "Please tell me it's the Dido version, please tell me." And it wasn't, it was Stan, Eminem. And I went, "No, that one's not appropriate." And it's not really because of the swearing, it's the words that's in that song. I don't really want her hearing that at 5 because it's very...
Yeah, no, she's probably a bit young for that. Like
yeah. Eminem in that phase, 100%. My band, she can listen to that, the funny stuff, but like, no, you cannot listen to someone killing his pregnant girlfriend and driving a car off a cliff. So now, it's just funny, like older songs in today's generation, listen to them, and like I've seen things in the internets because I've been off Twitter as well. Sorry, everybody, if you've missed this. We've just schedules haven't aligned. Andy's been busy with work down in London and stuff, and I've got kids that are just, as you know, if you watch this show. And I did have a green screen on for a lot of people watching that maybe like, what green screen's this? This is my kids' like artwork stuff. And that's a photo of Air Beach that I got in a wedding.
I was going to say, like, I mean, if that's their artwork, like, that's fucking impressive.
Yeah, Leo drew that from memory. It's just it's Air Beach taking it out. I don't really know who done it. Maybe one of Silvio's pals. There was loads of people at the wedding, Italians that I didn't know. We've just been away. We've just been busy. Life happens. We've not stopped the show. We just haven't synced up together for like a month and a bit now. But hey, we're back now.
We've both been very sleepy. Is basically
the closer we both get to. I mean, when we started this show, we were in like a early 20s, and now we're pushing 40. So, like,
we're not there yet.
We're not. No, we've got like three years away.
It's like 5 years to the next milestone. 40 doesn't.
42. Yeah, 40 doesn't. I told Tasha that. Tasha says, "What are we going to do for your 40th?" I goes, "Nothing. We're going to do 42nd. We'll do something that." No, not 40th. That nonsense. Whoever celebrates the 40th. Do you know? It's still crazy to this day how many times 42 pops up everywhere. Like absolutely everywhere. You use 42, 42, 42, and I'm like, that's cool. So yes, we are back, but we're going to talk about video games. We're not going to reminisce like still game to old men yapping and blathering. We're going to talk about, as you've probably seen down here, and at the title, Star Wars Jedi Survivor. I finished it. Andy's a chunk of the way in. It's been out for a while now, so I'm not going to spoil anything for Andy, but we are going to discuss spoilery things. So just to let you know, we're not going to just go, and here's exactly what happens, but we're going to talk about the game. And if something comes up you didn't want to know, then you might not want to listen to that part. Afterwards, we're going to talk, obviously, about some Resident Evil, because we've been playing Resident Evil since we're away, both of us. I might have finished one, Andy might have been putting some time into another. I want to talk about a friend of ours that does insane things on Resident Evil briefly while we're there. Absolutely nuts. And we'll get into why he's done it as well. But like, and then we're going to finish up with some Breath of the Wild 2. Is it just me, or does Breath of the Wild 2 still sound better than Tears of the Kingdom? I don't know why.
I don't like the name either, mate. Like, I think it's just because we've not had the name. We've had the Breath of the Wild 2 name for a lot longer than we had the Tears of the Kingdom name.
Yeah, because the first time they announced it, they just called it the sequel to Breath of the Wild. Yep. So everyone just started calling it Breath of the Wild 2. And then, like, we've had Tears of the Kingdom for a couple of months, maybe, and it's like, yeah.
Well, maybe 6 months, because it was when the Queen died.
That's right, and they didn't want it. They didn't want to show it because it's as if the internet doesn't exist and everybody in Britain didn't just watch the American stream.
Yeah.
And it's like Tears of the Kingdom. It's too close to home. But then the Japanese are quite respectful and stuff like that, aren't they? Well, since the war finished anyway. But don't make us go back to the Empire.
I mean, to be fair, that was like a long time ago now.
It wasn't that long ago. It was still within your grandparents' lifetime.
I mean, 80 years ago. I mean, my grandparents are all dead, so.
So are mine, but
yeah,
they still existed. I can still refer to them, can't I?
True, yeah.
I didn't kill them.
That was the Japanese in the war. That's what it was. You've got a grudge.
My dad's dad, my Shenna, that's Gaelic for grandpa. He didn't like the Japanese because he was in the war. He was an ambulance driver. He did not like them, and it was different back then because there was a bit more racism, but like nobody stopped what he was saying because of what he'd been through in the war and stuff like that. Yeah, but he died when I was like young anyway. So did most of my grandparents. My mum's mum died maybe about 8 years ago now. So, but anyway, yeah, we're not here to talk about that. We're here to talk about another kind of empire in a war, Star Wars. Did you like that? That was a good
segue.
Yeah. Star Wars Jedi Survivor is, of course, if you don't know, the follow-up to one of the best games I've ever played, Star Wars Fallen Order. So we're just going to spoil some stuff. So at the start of the game, it kind of takes a time jump, and it threw me for a loop because there is a novel they brought out that goes between the game and this one. And it took me quite a while to adjust to this because you start on Coruscant, which is awesome. Probably one of my favorite planets in all of Star Wars. And I'm like, do you know what it gave me? This is what it could have been like. I was like, this is 1313. This is, I want to be a bounty hunter. I don't want to be in the rooftops because most of the time when you're on Coruscant, in fact, all of it apart from the meat plant, you're on the rooftops. I'm like, let me go to the underbelly. And the fact that 1313 was quite far forward and we got to see footage and it looked like an Uncharted style game, I'm like, I wish Disney would just let it happen because they've got the Legends banner. They could slap a Legends thing on it and just go there. It's not canon. It's a Legends game.
That's kind of what this game is, though. There's a lot of platforms.
No, this is canon.
Game. No.
No.
I mean, like in terms of the actual gameplay, like this is very Uncharted. Like the way the climbing and all that is.
Do you know what it's more like? Prince of Persia. It's more like Assassin's Creed at some parts.
Yeah,
and let's talk about I'll talk. Yeah, very much so. But I'll tell you, all of those games mentioned are better at platforming than this because.
Oh yeah.
We'll talk about the issues with it in a minute, but like the walls that you come to that you can either slide down, use your lightsaber to go down, or you can jump up. Right? It doesn't really explain this fully. But you kind of have to just spam jump, and it kind of does this awkward movement up the wall.
Yeah, I don't like that. It doesn't.
I did not like that. It didn't feel smooth. It didn't really. Not that like Fallen Order wasn't the smoothest platformer, but I feel this has had a lot more platforming so far than Fallen Order did.
100%. Yeah, definitely.
Actually, so far I'm talking like I've not finished it. So like it does it like so. And most of the platform is okay until it comes to those walls. And I'm like, I don't want to. I would rather they just put a fucking ladder and just give me the monotonous ladder than this stupid kind of jump up, jump back, jump up. Like you're kind of doing this to the wall. Like Cal's like kind of headbutting the wall all the way up.
Obviously, it only lets you do that on the walls that have that like scrapes on them. But there's plenty of other walls in the game that look exactly the same, but they don't have scrapes on them, and you can't jump up them. And you're like,
and I'll say,
but what?
I did find that difficult because this game isn't as obvious as the first game of, look, it's climbable. Sometimes it's difficult to see because the lighting's obviously better now because this is the next gen only game. And I'm like thinking it's a wall that I can run on.
And then you just
obviously Cal can run them. You just fall. And I'm like,
I've died so many times just from falling off things, like at least 30, 40 times so far. Like just falling off stuff.
I still
like thinking I can make a jump when it's like, no, and then I just have to look somewhere else to find like the way I'm supposed to go. Because it's not very good at pinpointing you where to go with the game either.
What I will say, since there's another good segue, they've improved the map so it's usable, because Fallen Order, Fallen Order, that map was fucking useless. You basically had to just use memory where different parts were, and like they've now separated it so that you can turn the map and you can look properly. Whereas in Fallen Order, it was like, where's that exactly on the map? The map doesn't even look like where I am. So this is better for that. I definitely think the combat system, I always go back to Force Unleashed because that's my favorite Star Wars video game of all time. They still haven't got the Force feeling as good as that game. Like that game perfected like lifting objects, throwing things and stuff. And this game's kind of annoyed me, and it still annoys me to this day. And to this day, it's only been out 2 weeks. The fact that I'm doing things on skill trees that are either the same or just slightly different from moves I already learned in the first game, and it's like, it just kind of does it. It's like, okay, so we're going to start him off and he's already got force pull and force push, right? Which is fine because, he at least has those. But then it's like, but see your other special skills, like throwing the lightsaber and stuff, he doesn't know that anymore. How is he the most forgetful Jedi in the world?
He does. He can throw the lightsaber. It's not intuitive to do it, though. It's like you have to do the button combination to do it.
It's L1 and triangle, and it doesn't make sense to me. It's like, why is it not like R1? This is one of those situations where they've changed something that wasn't broken. It's like the button inputs were fine. Case in point, they've made it so that Cal can only remember, because remember this is canon, he can only remember 2 lightsaber styles at one time, right? Now he's got this multi-purpose lightsaber that's double-bladed, right? In the first game, you could have it single, you could have it double, or you could split it so it was dual. Great. And it was all done with clicks of L3, R3, or the D-pad. It worked. It was fine. Now, bear in mind, MMOs work on the PlayStation, which take multiple button presses to do things like Final Fantasy 14. You've got the Elder Scrolls Online. Like, these all work. This is an action game. And you telling me you couldn't map it to the D-pad, which is not really used apart from the Mario Sunshine crappy bits that we'll talk about in a minute. I don't know if you've got that far.
They use the D-pad's like used for healing. So up is for healing, fine.
Which is fine.
Like left and right is for changing your stance, and then the down button is for like a fucking pair of binoculars, basically.
Right, but hear me out here. Why do we need the binoculars? Ever.
We don't. No, you never need the binoculars. No, and like they could make
the down button,
or they could just fucking put the photo mode in. Like I don't know if there's a photo mode.
Click R3. It's click R3. I know it highlights an enemy.
Click R3 is used too many times in this game for different things. I hate clicking R3 in games.
Open door, and here's the one thing: some crates will require you to press down to slice, and some of them say click R3 to slice. It's like, why?
It's click R3. It's click R3 to open. So if it doesn't need it unlocked by BD, it's like you click that and it just kicks it and it opens. But then if you have to slice it, it's just press down. I'm like, why do you have 2 different things? The animation's slightly different, but what's the point? Like, just make it the same fucking thing. Just make them slice every crate.
In this game, they've made 5 lightsaber stances, right?
So I've gotten 3 so far. So I've gotten like the
ones that were in the first game.
The ones in the first game. Plus, I've got the one with the blaster.
Right. So the blaster isn't really a stance. It's just Cal's got a gun in his hand. Right.
Yeah,
and here's the thing, right?
It's like,
Andy, I've never used it. See, once they gave me, I was like, no, that can get the fuck. Why would I choose to do that? So, I'm going to have to do it for an achievement because I'm going to go for the platinum in this. I'm halfway through them now.
Okay.
Because there's plenty to do in the end game. So, like, you've got 5 stances. Left and right change, yeah.
Yep.
Hear me out. What if you double tap left and it gave you a second one, and you double tap right and it gave you, then you could have all 5. Your standard one is the single, double tap once, double tap twice, dual tap right, blaster, double tap right, and you get the other one.
Yeah. That would.
I've solved the problem right there. Because the thing is, I don't understand the limitation on that. I really don't. And I know you said animation, blah blah blah, but it's like, no, that doesn't, because it's just stupid. It's like everything that Cal needs for all these stances, including the blaster one, they're all on his person. Because even if you've not got the blaster stance equipped, his guns and his fucking trouser holster, it's so stupid. So that fucking annoyed me, because it's like, okay, the fifth one that you haven't got yet, I used for most of the game once I got it, right? But I would have used the single, double, and dual for the whole playthrough quite happily, but I neglected playing through the dual. So this is my kind of end game sweep up, and then I'll go back in and do New Game Plus eventually, because there's 2 new lightsaber colors that are only New Game Plus. I'm like, right, okay, whatever. So I'm playing through it, and I'm like, I haven't even leveled up the dual because I've not used it. And it's like, I know you maybe, so you can get different playthroughs and you equip them, but it's not really encouraging you, because I have to find a meditation point, go to that, swap my stance, and then come back out. And it's like,
do you know what I think? Do you know why I think they have the stances, the different ones? I think it's just to encourage people that prefer different play styles to enjoy the game more, because like we might like it playing as like just the one lightsaber or the dual lightsaber or whatever, but like certain other people might be like, it would be so much cooler if they had a gun. So they're like, okay, well there's a gun for them. And I don't like the gun thing at all. Like,
stupid. Why would you need it?
I don't see why you would have a gun.
I can use the Force to pull a stormtrooper to me and stab him. Like, I don't need a gun.
Yeah, and I get like Luke had a gun and whatnot in Star Wars, and like, right.
Luke was a different Jedi though.
He didn't use it that much. Like,
but
really,
that's because Luke wasn't brought up. Luke wasn't brought up as a Jedi. Cal was a Padawan at the temple. Luke was born during the Empire's reign, right?
Yep.
Cal was born when it was the age of the Republic. The army of the Grand Republic.
Luke's not born yet in this game, is he?
Yeah, he is, because this is set after Revenge of the Sith.
Okay, yeah. Sorry, yeah, but he'll
maybe be like young 7, 8 or something, maybe. Yeah, because this is still like 10 years before the Battle of Yavin, which is A New Hope. So yeah, he's maybe like 8, 9 at most.
Yeah, I'm with you on that time jump, by the way. Like, I didn't realize there was a time jump, and I was like, why? Where's his pals? Because they show you the previously is fine, gets you caught up and remembers, like, gives you a quick reminder of like what happened in the first game. Like, cool, absolutely well done, and it's nicely done with the interspersed some of the cutscenes and that from that game with like kind of like graphics and stuff. Okay, cool. But then they just chuck you into Coruscant, and you're like, why am I here? And like, how did I get here? And like, do they go back to that at any point in the game?
So I'll tell you, they explain why the crew's not with them.
Mm-hmm. I've seen a wee bit of that. I've met some of them. It's
a shit explanation. It's just I'm going to spoil it.
Basically,
that's it. Yeah. That's what all of them do, and it's like, why? Like, and then spoilers again, but the majority of them come back anyway. It's like this, and it didn't even feel like it was needed. It was like almost as if Cal had to go and round the crew up for one last job, and it's like, but all he had to do was ask. None of them said no. None of them told him to fuck off, and it's like, this just seems pointless. Yep. Like, why wasn't it just the crew in the first place, right? So there's this character called Bode in the game as well, and like Andy was mentioning, it was in the first game. I was like, no, he wasn't even in the book from what I've seen. I haven't read the book, but I looked it up. He's not even in the book. He just appears in this game, so it's like stupid. And like, see, from the minute I seen him, I went, he's got in too deep too quick, and he's not some 41, so he is at it. And like, his name's Bode, so something didn't bode well. I wanted to use that joke on the show because like I said it to you anyway, but I didn't trust him from the start. I'm like, he's dodgy. I'm not going to tell you whether it was right or not.
Yeah, but I mean, I've not seen him be dodgy or anything yet. He's just been
but I didn't see him be dodgy. I just looked at him and I went, this isn't how new characters get introduced if they're good guys. It's not. Um,
I liked some of the characters that they introduced at the beginning. Like they seemed like they might be alright, but then they just killed them off before you and there was no gravitas to it whatsoever because you'd only met them for fucking 5 minutes.
yeah, I wanted to see a lot more of Cal with that crew before he had to round up the old crew. That would have been better to me.
Yep.
Because then it would have made sense. But instead, all of them die basically except Bode in the first half hour.
First mission, yeah.
Yeah. And then it's like, all right, okay, cool. So then he's like, oh, I've got to go and get the old guys back. And they're all in different places in the galaxy. Well, no, most of them are on one planet, and then Grease is just by himself at a bar. So it's like, fine. The story, I'll talk about the story. Do you know, I love it and I hate it. It's a Marmite story to me. The reason that I hate it is because it's like, well, this seems very disconnected from the original game story where it was in the Empire and blah, blah. But you've got to remember, because this is canon, he can't get involved too much in events this close to A New Hope.
Yeah.
He just can't. So that's why they've brought in this, spoilers, High Republic storyline. Because it gives Cal an excuse to keep him away from the Empire. Plus, this is when the Empire's in their phase of, we're fucking taking your planet or we're destroying it. Cal doesn't want to be seen by the Empire, basically. So he needs to kind of stay in the fringe worlds. And yeah, he's on Coruscant at the start. But then, like, I think Greaser, one of them makes a comment of going, what the fuck were you doing in Coruscant? Like, that's the most stupid place you could have been. Because when we first met Cal, it was kind of like, the Empire were just starting to kind of like get the planets they had in order, and the Empire didn't start. Everybody that's seen Star Wars, like obviously they've seen the Empire at full height, they've seen them taking over. But if you've watched the stuff like on TV, like Andor and things like that, and Obi-Wan Kenobi, you know the Empire wasn't fully organized at first. It was just kind of fuck, who's in charge of what, who does what. So they were getting things together in the first game. By the time Cal's doing this, we're getting closer to Luke Skywalker joining the rebellion. So the rebellion's on its way because they're fed up, but the Empire hasn't took every planet. In fact, one of the planets in the game, the Empire hasn't even been to, but by the end of the game, there's a Star Destroyer over the top of it. So it's like they're next on the list. And it's quite cool the way they did that. So even in the end game, when I go, if I look up, there's a Star Destroyer above the planet. Don't know if there's going to be DLC coming for that. That would be kind of cool, like get rid of the Star Destroyer. But Cal can't really get involved with too much of the Empire stuff. That being said, it's kind of annoying because the first game was all about that, but I understand it because it was kind of, those were the planets. Cal was on the planets kind of more central, and he was kind of just finding his footing, and then he met his crew, and Siri, whatever her name is, she basically shows him that he should keep his training up and be a Jedi again, and he decides to do it because he's hid it for so long. And then obviously saved one of his friends in the original game, and that's how he got exposed and had to leave. But now he's kind of forging his own path. And if Cal was going on the way that he does in this game, like in Tatooine, like even in Coruscant for longer, or any of those planets, the Empire would have clamped down on that very quickly. There's no way they would have let a Jedi of his caliber just swan about like slashing away at stormtroopers, blowing up bases. It just wouldn't happen. So that's why he's doing all this stuff in the outer edges, and that's how the rebellion started. They chipped away at the edge of the Empire and kind of worked their way back into Coruscant, because it's kind of Coruscant, if you imagine, the kind of, it's not the center, but it's the center, the central planet that most things are based on.
It's where the where the Senate is and all
the government was, yeah. And at this point, the Senate's not fully formed. I don't know if Andor's before or after this, but seeing Andor, it's still a Senate. Which means that there's still planets voting, and the Emperor's not on. Because by the time A New Hope starts, it's just the Emperor. There's no fucking Senate. The Senate's been abolished. The Emperor's like, I'm in charge. This is what's happening. And I believe Tarkin says a line like he's finally abolished the Senate in A New Hope. But at the moment, it's still like as if like we've all agreed to this. We've came together. Like, this we're a republic, and then we've got old wrinkly ballface.
They gave him the powers.
Jar Jar Binks gave him the powers. He did. He gave the emergency powers to him because Amidala wasn't there. So, like,
do you know? I'm liking like the fact that we're on these kind of outer planets, though, like out world planets, because like the coolest thing to me so far in the game was like seeing the battle droids. I'm like, oh, there's fucking battle droids here, like, and this is like after episode 3. I don't even, was there even battle droids in episode 3? I don't think there was.
Yeah.
Was there?
They were at the Order 66 basically happened, and the clones started fighting the battle droids. So the clones wiped out most of them, and they were still being used on planets. But yeah, there was definitely battle droids on.
I don't remember seeing any in Revenge. Like there very well could have been. You've probably seen it more times than me, so you'd be a better authority in that than me.
They definitely were, because do you not remember, like, I'm trying to think of an example. The bit where R2-D2 like sprays the oil out and sets it in fire by spinning round.
Right.
When Obi-Wan and they're on the lift and they're about to fight fucking Count Dooku. Okay. And Anakin does that and cuts his head off. Remember that bit?
Yep.
He's like, do it. Right, so see, before that, Anakin...
There were droids. Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
So they were used. Yeah. And obviously they weren't in the original trilogy because George hadn't invented them, but the justification for that is the Skywalker trilogy is kind of set in the main... I know Tatooine's meant to be a backwater, but it's not really. All those planets are kind of central to where it's all focused on them and nothing to the side, whereas these shows in Disney Plus and the books and the comics are kind of going to the side. So like you might see a comic, like the Aftermath novels that are set after Return of the Jedi. Mr. Bones, the droid, comes from that. And he's a battle droid. And they're definitely still in the galaxy, but kind of canon-wise, in the main planets that we see the Skywalkers and the Emperor being on, the Emperor's just wiped them out. He deactivated all the ones that were nearby. So it makes sense
because they were too happy and going around saying, "Roger, Roger."
I don't understand the justification of getting rid of them, because it would be a simple programming commit. Why didn't he program them with Order 66 as well when he would have doubled the strength of his army? Yeah. But I'll tell you why. It's because he wanted it to make it look like the Jedi were traitors and the droids were technically the army of them, and whatever. And the Separatists were involved as well, because Count Dooku was blamed for leading the Separatists, and they were kind of seen as a separate thing from the rebellion and the Empire. Anyway, back to Jedi Survivor. So the High Republic story is really good. I'm glad they're doing it. We've got the first High Republic TV show out. It's a kid-based show, like definitely kid-based show, called Young Jedi Adventures, I think it is. Yoda's their teacher, because obviously Yoda existed back then. And we're obviously going to get the Acolyte next year. There was a leaked trailer for that. That looks absolutely incredible. And it's kind of showing how the High Republic ended and kind of tricked the Jedi into becoming like not peacekeepers, because they were peacekeepers, tricking them into kind of politicians to kind of dull their senses, so that the events of this could all happen. So the Acolyte is going to be awesome, because it's going to be a Sith-based show. So we've not seen the Sith point of view, really. We've only ever seen kind of the Jedi point of view, and we're the right way to think about things. So High Republic was kind of cool, but I feel what they did with it wasted it. Like, you meet a guy called Dagan, and he's not in the books or the comics or anything. He's new for this. And his kind of girlfriend that kind of realizes he's going to the dark side a bit. It kind of felt at one point that she was going to be Seer. Like, I felt they looked similar, and her name's like Kuri, and it was like that could easily be her coming out of stasis before him. Nothing happened with that plot line. And also they portrayed the High Republic as if it was Dawn of the Jedi, where the Jedi were settling planets, because they kept showing flashbacks of Dagan like settling things and what to start. And it's like, but the High Republic was kind of almost more functional than the Republic that we've seen in Episode 1, Phantom Menace, because they had like it was more civil, and the Jedi were like space cops more than politicians, and it was really good. But this kind of showed it like this is going to be the new planet and blah blah. And it's like, why is this doing this? The High Republic was very settled. It's not like you're going back to like the Neanderthal days, like Dawn of the Jedi, where there was like a planet of the Force, and they kind of sent your way if you were too dark side. And that's coming as a movie, by the way. Dawn of the Jedi is getting moving into movie. So, the High Republic wasn't shown really well, and then they kind of tossed them aside. The kind of villain at one point. Sorry if this is getting a spoiler territory for you as well, Andy, but they kind of tossed them aside just to have someone else show up at the end. And I'm like, this is totally forced just to have him appear. And I'm like, this makes no fucking, there's no fucking sense of him showing up here. Like, why didn't they just make it the High? Once you get to the part, you'll be like, why is he here? And then like, you'll be like, why couldn't they've used Dagan as this encounter? Like, why? Like, I don't get it. I don't get their choices for a lot of it. one of the planets, two of the planets are quite big. There's Jeddah, and it's mostly desert, so it doesn't really count because a lot of it's empty space. But Kobo is quite a populated planet, and it's got like a bog, it's got like a crashed starship, it's got like your kind of settlement place with the cantina and stuff. It's got caves, it's got mountains. That planet's really fucking cool. I like exploring Kobo. That's where Greece is, where the bar is, cantina.
I was going to ask, where is? Have I been there yet? But yeah,
you've been to Jeddah as well. It's kind of the Jedi planet, and that's it. That's all the planets you get. There's like one at the end, but there's nothing there. It's kind of just like a staging ground. But like, there's 3 planets in Coruscant. You don't really get a lot of it. I went back to Coruscant tonight to 100% explore the map. It's like 6 rooftops and a meat processing plant. Because that way when you run back through a game and you know where the encounters are and you're just kind of running past them because you don't care if you die at that point. The tension isn't there to get through the level. It's like, oh, well, I died, right? Anyway, you move and you just run through. I'm like, this isn't that much of Coruscant. So I'm like, fine, but Kobo is really good. Like, you've got mounts on that planet, which you've never had in the game before. You can...
Yeah, okay, so the mounts, right? Like, what do you think of these fucking mounts? Like,
they're stupid.
Yeah,
don't like. They could have They could have had better creatures. Like,
they could have had,
why couldn't have a speeder bike?
Yeah, or a speeder bike or anything, and like, see the fucking slopes that you can't climb up. Like, what the hell? Some of these slopes are like, what? You could fucking walk.
I'm like, I'm not a Jedi, and I could walk up it. Like, there's a slight trickle of water, so Cal slides down it. So you have to get in the back of like an overgrown dodo, to ride up it. And then in the
things, they're obviously from Star Wars, right? But like, have we seen them before anywhere? These things?
Probably a random. I don't pay attention to the fauna and animals of Star Wars, really. But there's even worse things.
They could have given us something that was more recognizable to fucking ride.
A tauntaun or something.
A tauntaun, yeah, like something like that. I'm like, oh, I know they're like snow ones, but I'm sure they could make a fucking sand one up and like put that.
Make a sand version.
Yeah, a sand version of that, or like even like
What about the big fucking stupid? Have you been on those in the desert? The big long leg.
Yeah, the long real.
They're worse
ones. They're terrible. Yeah, I hate them.
They're worse. They're like tall-legged elephants.
And like they don't. Those are so glitchy as well. See the way their feet go. They're just like they're fucking everywhere. And they never sit on. They never go on the ground properly. They're always like floating like this above the ground. And you're like, what is this?
And then to jump on them, it's annoying. So let's talk about the glitches. I'm usually very lucky with games, as you know, Andy. You'll play a game and you'll be like, oh, I've seen everybody talking about it as well. This is this. I'm like, I've never seen any of that. And that's because you're going and looking for crap and doing this and that. On my first playthrough of this game, I based the story. I just wanted through the story because I had reviews to do. I was in the middle of playing Redfall, I'm pretty sure, which was out on the Monday. We can mention that, like, talk about that later as well. But this game was full of fucking... This was unfinished by at least 3 months, right? And they've already... There's been 2 patches. There's a patch just before I came on the show. Just came onto my PlayStation Bing. They're aware of it. They're fixing them, which means this wasn't finished. They addressed it before it came out. They said, look, this game's going to be patched over the next few weeks, which means they had a deadline, and the studio just went, get it out now. And they're like, but it's not finished, right? So the game itself is, I would argue it's like 90% complete, right?
Yeah.
10%'s maybe polish, and I'm maybe being a bit harsh with 90%.
Yeah, maybe like 95. Yeah.
But there's definitely some spit shine that was needed, like another few months just to cook it fully. It's basically like you've brought your chicken out and it's not quite browned yet. It could do with going back in the oven.
It's not going to kill you, but like...
it's not going to kill you, but it's not crispy. Yeah. So it's just sloppiness. It felt like, but I can't blame the developers because I know what studios and money's like. Some executive in a suits came in, the guy's sweating his balls off, probably crunching like fuck, and he's like, get it out. He's like, but it's not finished. We want to get it out. So I don't blame them for it, but it's really fucking annoying to see a AAA game released like this. And because of that, and because of, I don't feel there's enough planets. I know there's big, it's practically open world, a couple of the planets, but there's not enough. There's not enough variety. Like I said, we've got the desert planet in Kobo. Coruscant's tiny. There's Shattered Moon, Taralore, and there's another one, but none of them are big, right? Those don't really mean much to you, but there's like 2 big planets.
I'm on the Shattered Moon. That's what I'm That's what I'm right now.
Yeah, it's
Like,
tiny.
I've just started
It's
that.
absolutely tiny. Absolutely tiny. Or it's kind of like a Fallen Order planet, right? And yeah, it's fine. But see, if you're going to, it's not that big to have this. It's just, I don't know. They were obviously behind schedule somewhere. So it's really annoying. This is the first game to crash my PS5. In the middle.
Okay.
And I wasn't even stressing it out. I wasn't somewhere I shouldn't have been. Do you know what I was when this said? Go ahead.
Oh, I was gonna ask, like, so when you say crash, right? Do you mean like fully crashed the system, like shut it down completely, or just the game crashed?
I mean, it crashed and went, beep, 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 beep. This game is experienced an error and blah, blah. And I'm like,
Yeah.
I shat myself because I haven't heard that noise since the PS4. You know, that, and it says there's been an unexpected error. Right? So I was like, okay. Do you know what I was doing? What would you imagine I was doing? Exploring somewhere, trying to like dash through a wall that I shouldn't have, or like edge of a platform? Like, what do you think I was doing?
I'm gonna say that you were traveling between planets.
No.
No.
I was on a planet. And I was fully loaded in a building. I was in the cantina.
Right.
I turned round and it crashed. I literally went like that. I literally did that. And I've been in that cantina loads of times and it just crashed the fuck out on me. I've heard loads of people saying it's crashed on them. I've heard about the glitches. Like, Cal's fell through stuff for me before. I'm like, he shouldn't have fell through that floor. Like, that was unfinished. And like I said, developers know about it. But I just couldn't help but be annoyed because I'm like, this should have come out perfect. This should have been 10 out of 10 for me. I loved the game all in all, apart from, like I said, there's a bit when you have to protect the archive that doesn't spoil too much, right? And there's a certain boss fight you have to do, and you're like, why is it? It doesn't fit. It does not make sense. Obviously, you know why he's like, or he or she's appeared because they've been told and stuff like that. But it's like, this doesn't fit this whole, you've been doing this and now you've went, look, it's, and at that point I'm like, I don't care because you've set up quite a good thing here that I'm enjoying, and now you've went, look, it's, and I'm like, I don't care, like, stick with what you were doing, because then after that fight it goes back to what you were doing for the rest of the game, and it's like, this made no sense. So I have to say Fallen Order's better than this. Like, I would say Fallen Order's like an 8.5, like an 85%, round about that. It was a really good game. I would give this like a 70, like 7 out of 10, 7.5.
They've tried to do like more Dark Souls-y things in it as well, where they're like with their enemy positioning, where they'll just chuck a guy like behind a fucking pillar, like you walk through and you just jump out.
It jabs you. It's annoying.
And it's just like, no, like this doesn't.
Do you know why it shouldn't work? At all? It shouldn't work because Cal would force sense someone was behind.
Exactly, yeah, and like obviously you don't have like a sort of like a sensing power type thing that you have in a lot of games like Assassin's Creed and stuff either. So like you just don't know he's there, and like Cal's
sometimes you
force, so he should
absolutely would sense there's 4 enemies in that room. But say you walk through that door and you can see a guy. Andy's right. There's maybe like in Dark Souls a guy behind the door going, got you, and it's like, motherfucker. Absolutely annoying. There is also legendary enemies you can fight and fight.
Oh yeah,
that's quite cool.
I thought one of those things is like you go into sort of a glitch and it pulls you in and you have to fight like
not that.
No, not them ones.
Not that. No, that's they're force tears. They're like messed up echoes that you have to complete the challenge to get the memory. I've done one of them. I don't like it. I'm gonna have to do them for the trophy.
I like the idea of it, but like I'm not going to bother engaging with that.
What I'm meaning is, so you speak to the bounty hunter. You'll meet the bounty hunter if you haven't already, and she'll give you like bounty pucks, which is cool because it's like the Mandalorian. You have to go out to planets and find a certain person that's giving you a rough location, beat them, go back and get the bounty. But there's also legendary enemies. Like, do you remember the enemy with the tongue? I think it was Ogdeba with the tongue in Fallen Order.
Yeah.
The son of Ogdebogdo in this.
Yes, I seen that. Yeah,
but you should fight him because see, when I fought him, the crate behind him has got something that I really wanted, and he's a tough fight, man.
Is it a long beard?
No, which is a stupid.
All the fucking crates is just a beard or a clean-shaven face or a mustache.
No. I've found plenty of lightsaber hilts and I've found costumes and
see that shit. I don't care about any of that because like I
quite like it.
I went and customized the lightsaber and I'm like, you can barely see this in the game, and also I don't care what color the actual lightsaber hilt is. No
Oh, I
interest in
do.
it whatsoever.
I
Like,
do.
I
I
care
care about.
I care what color the lightsaber is. So like I mucked around with that and looked at all the different colors and went, no, the default one's perfect. I don't want any other ones.
I don't change the lightsaber color in this. The reason why is because to me, Cal's lightsaber's fucking blue. Like
Yeah,
he's got a blue
exactly. Yeah.
lightsaber.
So like, I went and
But
looked for it, but I didn't want any of them. And the costumes, like the ones I've unlocked so far, don't care. The beards, I don't care what beard he has. Like,
see, I do because like
matter.
as I played the game, I was getting quite into it, so I made his beard grow over time. And then as he got some more force powers, I made him wear the man bun, and then I changed them into like kind of more Jedi-like robes as the game progressed. So it was like a progression of my character. And then at the end, I even had him with a green lightsaber, even though I said blue's Cal's because green's my progression for. I know it's not the same, but green to me, because once you've matured, you get the green lightsaber. I know it's completely different in canon. It depends on your position and stuff like that, but green is what I saw as being a Jedi Master. You got like Luke did it obviously in the original, and that's just what I did in this. So by the end, he was a man bun, he had the big long beard, he had the Jedi robes and a green lightsaber. And the cool thing was I got the deluxe edition, so I actually had whatchamacallit, one side was Anakin's lightsaber and the other side was Obi-Wan Kenobi's lightsaber, and you could see it some parts in the game. But I enjoyed like the customization. I don't give a fuck so much about the colors. Like sometimes I open a crate, it's like you've unlocked the color palette for the gun. I'm never going to use it. And it's like, if it's a cool costume, yes. Finding like you said, how did they find a beard? Maybe it's a style tip. Maybe it's just like a style guide in Aurebesh, which is the Star Wars.
It's just a picture of like a man with no beard, and he's like, "Oh, I could do that."
Oh,
like
I could do that.
It's like a Cosmopolitan magazine or something.
That's what it is. It's FHM.
But that would make more sense to me if it said something like that. But no, it's just a fucking picture of his head, and now you can have no beard. I'm like, okay, I don't care.
Cal found a Style Tips magazine.
Same way with like and obviously it makes more sense that you find the bits of the droid like in the crates. That's fine, like scrap, and you can fucking put it on him.
Same for the lightsaber, finding bits of lightsaber.
Yeah, exactly. But I don't have any interest in changing any of the things. Like,
what would have been cooler is if naturally Cal's beard grew as you played.
Yep, that would have been much cooler.
That would have made more sense. Maybe choosable hairstyle anyway, but I'm sorry, but if you've got long hair and you don't know how to tie a ponytail, then you shouldn't have long hair, really.
Yeah. And if you give him, like,
I have to go and find a crate.
Give him battle damage, like that type of thing. Like, remember in it was one of the Batman games. Like as the game went along, like the cape got more kind of big dragon and stuff. Like that was kind of cool.
I think that was Arkham Knight, and then it got destroyed, and you had to get a new suit and stuff like that from Alfred. In fact, all the Batman games did that, because I remember in Arkham Asylum he had rips because he wasn't using the armor. Yeah, that would have been cool. And I mean, that game was it's over 10 years old now. So
so like that type of stuff would have been cool, but they didn't do that. They wanted to, I don't know, like make you go and open all the crates for some reason.
Which is, I'll give it this, which is fine, because there's no microtransactions to buy all that shit.
No.
Do you know what I mean? Like, they could have went that road.
There's a couple you could buy, like from the deluxe edition. You can do an upgrade.
Yeah, but it's not like individual, like buy Cal's man bun for 79p, that sort of shit. It's not like buy credit. So I'm glad they avoided that. But this is wading dangerously into that territory, and they could easily throw it into the third game. Because they said they wanted to make a trilogy. There's room for a trilogy at the end of this. I'll buy it day one again. So yeah, I'm mopping it up. There's still bits to it. I could see them adding DLC for that Star Destroyer that appeared, but I think there's a lot in the game. I finished it maybe, I don't know, how long did it take? 16 hours, maybe 15 hours, something like that. Something like that. But you can get more out of it. There's easily 30 odd hours if you want to explore and stuff, because there's parts of planets that I've never even been here because the mission never directs you that way. So I've never went and explored, because I just went, right, there's where I need to go. There's like a gardening mini game. Didn't bother with that while I was playing.
I didn't like that in the first game either. Like growing fucking seeds and shit. I don't care.
Oh, this is more than that. This is like you can individually plant stuff in plots with BD and stuff like that, and have different flowers grow. It's like who in that team wants to really make Garden Simulator and doesn't want to make Star Wars? But yeah, all in, it's an enjoyable game. It's just not a perfect game for me. I think the lack of polish and the fact that you had 4 planets it's
And
like I wanted a whole galaxy.
Just the platforming isn't good enough.
Platforming's a bit shaky. Like I would have rather like see every one of those walls instead of bouncing awkwardly up it. Just make hand grips and let me jump onto them. Like I don't like this whole bounce backwards and bounce up. It's like felt stupid. It felt stupid. It felt like am I cheesing the game? But then I looked and it's like this is how you're meant to do this part.
Yep.
Okay. So yeah, it's good, but it's sadly not great. But it is what it is. I enjoyed it. I just wish that they'd stuck fully to committed to what they were doing and not wavered back in and then went back. It's like that seemed unnecessary and kind of took me out of it for a bit because it's like that he wouldn't have shown up like this. He wouldn't have came for this in my mind anyway. Well, he would have, but it just because it kind of takes you away after Coruscant, it takes you away from it. It made sense. It was as if Cal went like that job fucked up. I'm staying away from all that shit. It made sense. Anyway. Like there's all reasons. I'm not saying it just happens randomly. Like there is reasons, and you know why the persons came, but it's like it just doesn't feel right. Them showing up. It's like go away. Like we were fine with this guy. Like don't need you. I'm trying to be spoiler free, even though I said I was going to spoil it, but it's just ridiculous to me. To me, anyway. I was like,
I'm sure I'll message you once I get to that.
Oh, you will. You know exactly what I'm talking about. Yeah. You'll be like, why? You'll be like, why are you here? Why did we need to use you? So anyway, the game's fine. The game's is good. So if you like the first one, you're going to love it. I would say hold off a month. Wait till all these patches are out. You're going to be playing a better game than we are.
Yeah, you probably get it a wee bit cheaper as well.
It'll hit sale in about a month. This game's going to hit sales fast. I'm annoyed that I didn't get the collector's edition because it came with the Force FX lightsaber or the Legacy lightsaber anyway. Which is the new Force FXs. Well, no, because it went Hasbro and then Force FX, then I'm sure it went Black Series, then Legacy. They just renamed the same thing, but you know the premium lightsabers has cows, but I might have picked one up. Not there's a special double-ended version that splits in half.
Oh, cool.
Might be. It's going straight up.
Is it like a magnet one? Like it goes.
No, you unscrew it. It would have been cool with the magnet. That would be cool to be able to do it because that's what he does in the game. But you can unscrew both sides and still light up on this with both separate sound effects. That's you can screw it as a double, or you can hold it as the single. It's awesome. It comes in a wooden presentation box as well. I shouldn't have, but it's going straight up. It's not one I needed to get. I couldn't control myself, and it's coming tomorrow, I think. So. The stupid thing with that is, right, said blades sold separately. I'm like, fine, because they sell the hilts. On the American Disney store, they sell the blades. It's like $49. So what's that, about 35 quid? I'm like, fine. So I messaged them and said, can I buy 2 blades? Oh, we can't sell them. You can only get them at Disney. So I have to go on holiday to get these. I won't go on holiday. I'll probably just ask like Fred or someone if I can PayPal them, they'll send me them. But it makes no sense that they sell them in the Disney store in America.
Like, Chip goes to Disney all the time.
Yeah, I'll measure someone.
He'd probably be
I'm not in any rush for those, obviously, because like it's just going to stay where it is. I might do an unboxing. We'll see what I'll stay on my computer with the rest of my videos I haven't uploaded for Rebels Cast, but I just really liked it. And it's one of those limited. There's only 7,000 between the parks and the store, and I'm like, and I seen the lines on YouTube, and I'm like, because there was a guy like streaming it and stuff like that, and I'm like, I really want one of these. I'm gonna get it, and I got one. But didn't need it because I've already got a Kylo Ren one, and I've got Obi-Wan's removable blade one. I kind of want the Darksaber though. I needed to stay away from that though because they this May the 4th sale, and I was like, 138 sounds a lot to most people, but I paid over 200 for my Obi-Wan one. I paid a lot for my Kylo Ren one. They're usually about 200. This was down to 130 on May the 4th, and I was like, oh, I can't really be doing this. But I did. But that thing's already, see the saber, it's already on eBay for like £400 or £500. Like, I'm not there to scalp it, but this will go in the loft and it will be worth money eventually one day. The lightsabers of those, not the plastic ones the kids have, like I've got one for Leo, like the £10 ones, but the actual, they go up in value. But yeah, anyway, Star Wars is good. You're going to like it. It's not as good as Fallen Order in my mind, but Empire Strikes Back and
for
Batman
me,
wasn't.
as well. Like I'm not enjoying it as much as I enjoyed Fallen Order.
But it's fine. Like the
It's alright,
glitches
yeah.
aren't enough to go, don't buy this, it's fucked, because it's not broken, it's just irritating that it's kind of unpolished.
Yep.
Like it feels like it hasn't been through that last round of Q&A or something like that. Like it really feels like the quality assurance just let it slide and get the game out. And it's not the developer's fault for that at all. That's the suits. That's the money makers. Yeah. My boss is giving me a bonus if you get this out tomorrow, so it's going out tomorrow. So yeah, like that was Star Wars Jedi Survivor. Let us know what you thought about it. So we'll touch quickly on Resident Evil, because obviously this is the last in the show. I got Resident Evil 4. I still don't like that game. Still don't like it. This version's better.
The remake.
No, I don't like it. I finished 8. I don't know if I had in the last show. I don't think we had, but I finished 8. It's my least favorite Resident Evil game. 4 I've never finished because like of what it was. I just don't like the setting. It's just kind of brown European countryside bullshit.
And it's like brown games, to be fair.
Yeah, I do. And like Resident Evil 8 was like that. The best part of Resident Evil 8 is
I hate sand.
It's sand. It's coarse and it gets everywhere. So it's coarse. It's irritating. It gets in places that you can't clean. No, I mean, 8's best part was the castle. What they should have done with that game is made the castle with the big bird at the end.
Right.
And everything else before that should have happened before. And there's an easy way of doing it. Just juggle about the order of stuff. Put the castle at the end because it's the easiest. I prefer single location resis. Like Resi 1, mansion. Resi 2, police station. Resi 3, okay, you're in the streets, but it's Raccoon City. It feels cool. Resi 4 is kind of more like you're in fields and shit. Cornfields and stuff. And I get it's to invoke old horror vibes. But it's like, to me, that doesn't work as well. Like, I'm not scared of fields because I was born in Scotland.
I'm going to enjoy this game so much more. Like, taking away the fucking claustrophobicness of, like, being in a fucking tight corridor.
Nah, so, like, 4, it plays a lot better. I still think the Wii version's the best just because you can do that to flick a knife. That's just so cool. Like, you're walking along shooting, and then instead of having to push buttons like on the PlayStation, you have to push like R1 and square to like stab. Yeah. See, on the Wii, you just flick the Wiimote and he instantly flicks the knife, and I've always loved that. This version looks amazing. Character models obviously look similar to Resident Evil 2 remake and stuff like that, but it's not for me. Definitely not for me. I'll get back to it. I got it day one, obviously, but it's the only one now. Like I've finished 1, 2, 3. Not the remake, not the remakes of 1 and 2, but I finished the originals of 1 and 2. 3 remake and original. 4 I've never finished. 5 I finished. 6 I finished. I went back and finished 6 because I figured that's the other one I hadn't finished.
Yeah,
I thought it was fine. It's an action game by that point, full on action. So that gives you a breather before going into 7. 7 I finished and 8 I finished. So the only mainline Resident Evil I haven't finished is 4. Like, it's just... See, when you get a game that doesn't resonate with you, that's a long game like them, well, long-ish, if you're us. And it's going to take me about 15 to 20 hours. I can't vibe with the set. I just don't get the setting. Just... I'm like, oh, this fucking shit again. That's what it is. But yeah, that's all I've got to say about Resident Evil. But you've been playing a bit more of Resi 2, I believe.
Yeah, I've put a good bit more time into Resident Evil 2. I think I'm about 10 hours in now. And I've managed to get out of the police station and get to other places. And so, like, when I started the game, I didn't know what difficulty I was playing on. And it became clear to me that I was playing on a difficulty level that was too hard for me with the accuracy of my shooting in this game. So eventually I died. Eventually it took me, like, see, from the point of, like, I messaged you and I'm like, how the fuck did I turn the difficulty down? And you're like, oh, if you die, then, like, it'll give you an option to change the difficulty. And I'm like, oh, okay, cool. Like, next time I die, I'll do that then. I mean, it took me like a good another 3 or 4 hours before I actually died again. I'm like, just let me die. I want to fucking not use up as much ammo and shit. But yeah, I used so much ammo, like, in this game, and there was definitely points in the game where I was running about with 0 ammo. Like, there's the bit, you know, where the parking garage is, and there's a bit where, like, dogs come in. So there's a bunch of dogs come in, and I couldn't kill them because I didn't have enough bullets. So every time I was going back through that, I'm having to fucking run and dodge these dogs, and it was really difficult to dodge the dogs, like when you had no bullets or anything. But I managed to get out of there now, and like you go to the gun store, and there's no fucking ammo. Well, there's not no ammo, but there's very little ammo, which is very annoying because I expected there to be at least some, and there wasn't. But yeah, I'm enjoying the game. I'm not too far past that. I've done the bit where you play as Ada, which I thought was weird because she's like wearing the trench coat the whole time and everything, and then like as soon as she's like, right, I'm gonna be the character now, I'm like I've got a fucking like I don't know, a fancy cocktail dress on. Like, why do you have this on? Is this explained in the game? Like why she's dressed like this? I don't know. But no, it's good so far. I'm enjoying it. I didn't enjoy playing as Ada that much, but like it was okay. It's fine. Like, does it explain why she's in that get up?
It's just what she wears. It's just like a costume, the red dress.
Yeah. But like she's an FBI or an FBI agent. That's what she says. I'm like, okay. But like I quite like Leon. He's kind of like down to earth, and he's like, I'm just like a cop, want to get through this and like save the day. I'm like, okay, cool, it's fine.
Which is like Leon's not my favorite character in Resident Evil, but it pissed me off, and like I didn't mind Welcome to Raccoon City, the new movie, but they made him this total like drunk, like incompetent first day cop, and it's like that's not Leon's character, like even a bit, like not a bit. Leon adapted to every situation. That was his first day in the job. Like he should be getting a pay. Well, he does get a pay rise because he ends up working for the president after that. But it's like they made him in the movie this cop that was just so incompetent. He started the folk that worked with him hated him. He had his feet up on the desk. He was told he was to watch the front door. Remember? And it's like that's not Leon.
Yeah, I mean he's like pretty badass in this game. He's gone through a lot of shit already. And like I say, I'm like 10 hours in. I don't know how far through the game I am. Like. Maybe halfway.
Are you in the sewers? Are you in the sewers?
Yes. So like I did the bit where there's the bit where you have to go down and there's like a fucking big crocodile thing chases you, you have to run away from it, and then you get in that pipe and it blows up. So I've done that, and I've done the bit where we're chasing the scientist lady.
Yeah.
And then the big trench coat man shows up. What's his name? Mr. X.
Mr. X. No, you're not halfway.
Not half. Oh, okay, Jesus. And yeah, I'm like 10 hours in, and I think I've saved like 50 times.
So one night, must have been about a month ago, our friend Darren put me off of Resident Evil 2 when we were younger completely because he would fucking just play it. I was just like, I never want to play Resident Evil 2 again. And Resident Evil 2 remake came out and he showed me something, and I made the comment of, remember when you were good at Resident Evil 2? That's all it took. Fish, took the bait. Started off, Darren was beating the game with like an S rank on easy. Yeah, look there's your S rank. I kept replying with, yeah, could be better though. He's now at the point where, because you get the Claire, Leon, Claire scenarios, so there's technically 4 different ways to complete it. He's finished it with all of them on hard mode in under 2 hours with 3 or no saves for the whole game, under 2 hours. One of them's like 1 hour 40 minutes as Leon on hard mode. Right, I'm not bad at Resident Evil games. I don't think Andy's. Andy's bad. Not. You're not awful. You're not like can't function in it. You can play the game.
I can play the game fine. I just cannot get to grips with the shooting. Cannot get to grips with the shooting at all. I've got the flamethrower. By the way, flamethrower. I like the flamethrower. It's cool.
This game is the hardest. Remake 2 is the hardest game to get like headshots and anything in the whole series.
Yeah, out
them all. Even Darren's. Remember his first response was, "This game's fucking stupidly hard," and now he's finishing it like that. Yeah. I couldn't do that. I couldn't do that at all.
No.
Like, I would finish Resident Evil. Like, Resident Evil 8 took maybe 11 hours, I think it was, normal time. Andy is abnormal because Resident Evil 1... I'll give him Resident Evil 1, though, because it's harder with the camera angles and the map's not as intuitive and it doesn't directly show you where to go.
It's so much back and forward that I was having to do.
Much more than it. But you finished it. But Resident Evil 2, it's a lot more straightforward.
30 hours it took me.
Which is unreal because I don't know 15 hours in that game. But like, And Resident Evil 2, like, yeah, it's bigger and it's like there's loads of places to go and like everything takes longer to do. And he's doing it in like an hour and 40 fucking minutes and then complaining because he had to save once. Unreal. I think he's got the platinum now for the game.
Nice.
But he's actually just gone in because in the original game you got tofu for like finishing it with no saves or whatever.
Yeah.
And this one he's got like there's 4 other like tofu style characters that you get after tofu. So he's at that point. He's now just doing it to challenge himself. S+ ranks on hardcore with no saves under 2 hours, man. That's because I've been sending them to you going, look at this shit. But then I've been telling Darren, it's all right.
I think,
and then I remind him the world record's 52 minutes. But his response is that's on a PC with 120 FPS, and he has got a point because that would make a difference when you're doing it the way that he's playing it.
Yeah, and the loading and stuff like that. Like, because what's he playing on? Is he playing PS4?
Yeah,
the
slowest version possible.
Yeah, so he's never going to be able to get anyone near that because of the load times.
Loading, but also the FPS as well slows you down.
Yeah.
But yeah, Resident Evil 2 I will go back to at some point, but that's enough Resident Evil talk. I'm glad. Are you liking this one better than the first one? Thought I'd ask. I thought you would.
So, I am definitely liking the controls and stuff more than the first one. I'm finding the shooting way harder, like for some reason, even though it's like modern shooting. I think it's because of that headshots thing. I'm finding the game way more intense though, like way more intense. And up until maybe like the last 2 hours that I've been playing, like it's been fucking so terrifying the entire time I'm playing it, like because of the way the lighting is and stuff. And but mostly what it is the sound design. The sound design in the game is fucking nuts. It's so well done. But what I've done now is I've just turned the sound down a wee bit and put a podcast on, and I'm totally fine. I'm not fucking scared anymore. This is much easier for me to actually stomach playing this, because like every time I was going to play it, I'm like, oh, I'm dreading fucking playing this game, which isn't the way you should be when you're playing a game. But it's just because the sound design's so good on it, and like there's so much sound in it that's like, what the fuck was that? And it's nothing. It's just background noise of like a zombie. It's not even like in the same
shuffling or scraping.
Shuffling or scraping, or like maybe they're like it's designed so that they're like way up above you, or they're rumbling about, or like outside just moaning, or way off in the distance like going and like shouting or whatever, or like a random gunshot here or there. But like, and none of it is indicating to you anything apart from like when the Mr. X thing where you can hear his music and the footsteps and whatnot. And I think he's just annoying. Like, I don't like that mechanic at all.
It's awful.
Yeah, because you can't hurt him, and he just gets in the way of you doing puzzles. Really?
Yeah, I don't remember it being it. You can put him down, but it uses a hell of a lot of ammo. But I don't remember him being as annoying in the original, because Nemesis follows you, but it's not everywhere. And it's at certain moments, like it's almost it's scripted. Yeah, Nemesis will follow you at that point, and I don't mind that.
There's a couple of bits in 2 as well where it's like this is clearly a scripted moment where he's supposed to follow me. Like there's a bit where I've gone up a lift and he's like, "Come to get me," and I need to unlock a door and stuff like that using the little scannery beepity boop thing. Like I'm like, okay, well that's fine because that's a scripted moment, but. Outside of that, when he's just running about randomly in the place, and I'm like, cool, right, I need to go here to use this item, and I'm like, cool, right, I've gone here.
And he walks in the room, and you have to go the long way.
Yeah, and I'm like, oh, for fuck's sake. Like, I can't do this puzzle right now. I've put the item in, but now I need to wait to finish off doing the puzzle. It was the T-Jack and the library, that's what it was. So, like, I put the T-Jack in and started moving one of the things, and then he came up and attacked me, and I'm like, right, well, I just need to run away for a wee bit then, and just waited around for him to leave, which is no fun. And then went back in and moved it, and then he came back, and I'm like, But yeah, that wasn't really fun. Like,
it's not fun.
I don't get it. Anyway, it just gets in the way. Like, annoying.
8 does that with the vampire ladies.
The big lady, yeah.
And it was annoying for me because remember my game glitched.
That's right. Yeah, you got progress. Stuff, yeah.
And I wasn't. The only way that I managed to get past her was once they added third person mode. It was a slightly different angle, and for some reason I could squeeze them past, but in first person it wouldn't let me do it. But yeah, I think it's worse than 2 because I remember I got it for the Xbox first, and I got up to the part with Mr. X when you first meet him. I think it's just after the helicopter crashes through the police station, I think. And he kind of pushes out the way and follows you. And I was like, oh, for fuck, I forgot about you.
Yep.
And then I'm in the library. You know how you have to move the bookcases? You done that bit?
Yep, that's exactly where he came and got me as well. I'm like,
fuck me. And I'm trying to move it, and all you hear is and you're like, I'll come back. And you have to basically run, and then kind of just either stay in the safe room or just like run round in circles and run fast back so that he disappears. But it's the fact that the minute that he's there, and he can appear at any point, and you're like, right, I'm just going to move this over, and then you hear the door thrown open, you hear the doof, 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 and you're like, it's no fun. In Resident Evil 3, it happens with Nemesis, and it's the same. He's unkillable till boss fight parts, but it's scripted, so it's like one, and it's not as claustrophobic because you're in the street, and Nemesis will appear, but he can run. Like Nemesis will run after you.
Yeah.
So it's like it's difficult, but it's not as bad because see, once you're into the next area or in a shop, Nemesis isn't coming in the shop. Do you know what I mean? He's out in the street, so you know he's there, and then he will go away after the next cutscene or the next section happens. I've just always liked 3 better, but yeah, Resident Evil 2 is good, but that part of it I could do without. If Mr. X was scripted and like he came after you at certain points, fine. Like, but the fact that you can be in the middle of doing a fucking puzzle and he just barges in, it's like, motherfucker, just get the fuck.
Yep. And if you could like knock him down properly so that he would be knocked out or something like that, that would be.
You can.
No,
you can.
He doesn't go down for very long though. Like he sort of.
He goes down on his knees.
He goes down on his one knee and he's like sort of recovers, but it takes him fuck all time to recover. So it's not like you could knock him down, go do your puzzle,
and then go back to your puzzle.
Yeah. Yeah, no, you have to run away. Like that's just so you can get away from him, really. But he's not that fast, so he's get awayable from.
You can escape him until you're in one of the corridors.
Oh yeah.
And if you haven't unlocked the door from your side or whatever, you kind of just have to try and duck him.
The jail cell was the one that got me the worst, actually. Like, see when you're breaking out, you're coming out of the jail cell, and like I'd went and killed every single zombie that was locked up in the jail cell already. Because they were locked and, they're trying to get to you. Like, I went and killed all of them. And then as soon as I opened the gates, though, like, fucking hundreds of zombies came. I'm like, where did these come from? And then he appears as well. And I'm like, oh, my God. I didn't have any bullets left. I shot a bunch of zombies. And then I'm like, wow, I've run out of bullets now. I'm fucked. And I had to just run past. And he grabbed me and threw me down. And then I had to get back up. And luckily, he knocked some of the zombies out of the way. So I managed to run past them. But yeah, he's a super annoying.
I never understood Mr. X because he's like, the tyrant from the first game. He's a tyrant with that's what he is, but with a trench coat. But he's obviously some sort of in between the tyrant and Nemesis because he's kind of almost he's not as wildly aggressive or anything like that.
Yeah, he's kind of smart because he's sort of hunting you, I suppose.
Yeah, smart to a point.
Well, he's not. I don't think he's smart. I think he's been programmed in some kind of way. I think that's what they said. They sort of programmed him to go and find you. What
I never understood was Nemesis always like stars, and he's after the stars team. What if you just stop him and go, mate, I've just handed him a notice in. Does he walk away?
Yeah. Just rip your badge off and be like, there you go.
I quit. He's like, he just goes the other way. He's like, stars. They actually done a cool thing when Resident Evil 3 remake came out. And they added in a patch to Resident Evil 2 so that if you go out the front of the police station and not the front gate where the zombies are banging, but the one to the right, if you listen, you can hear Nemesis going stars. Because obviously he's in the streets looking for stars at that point.
Cool.
Yeah. So anyway, that was Resident Evil. Let's just talk about the game that's clearly going to be Game of the Year because there's now microtransactions in Starfield. Legend of Zelda, Breath of the Wild 2. So I think this is going to be my Game of the Year. What's your thoughts on it?
So,
Final Fantasy 16's out.
Yeah, like Final Fantasy 16's out, but like Final Fantasy 16 is not open world, remember? So that's a big knock.
Yeah, I forgot about that. I'm trying to forget that because I don't like that.
The menu system or whatever it is. So like, I'm not too sure about
I hated that in 10.
Yeah, I'm sure I'll like the game, but I don't think I'll like it as much as I'll like Zelda. Having said that, like Zelda, this new Zelda game for me would have to do quite a lot different from Breath of the Wild to make it much better than Breath of the Wild. for me. So I don't. I see it being like a Breath of the Wild extension, and that'll be fine. But I can't see it being my game of the year if that's all it is.
Okay, so I can.
Crafting mechanic and like that sort of shit. I don't care about that stuff.
No, I don't. But
I'll do the
think
basics of it that I need to do to get by.
I think it will. Yeah, I'll be the same because I'm like you. I don't really like crafting in games at all.
Okay.
I think this is just going to be like. I think it's going to be Legend of Zelda: Breath of the Wild, with the islands in the sky and underground areas, and it's the same map underneath as far as I can see.
And I think I'll enjoy it a lot still, but I don't see it being my game of the year. I don't know what the fuck will be my game of the year. Like right now, have I played anything that's been like, oh my god, this is like an amazing game? No.
Wolf Among Us 2 at the end of the year?
And maybe. I mean, I really liked Wolf Among Us. It was really good, so maybe.
Good game. Yeah, I forgot about Final Fantasy 16.
Starfield
that was horrible news.
I'm pinning all my hopes on Starfield.
But anyway, Tears of the Kingdom is out on Friday.
Yep.
My order went in the warehouse, so it's sitting in the warehouse right now. It's getting posted tomorrow. Do you know how much I regret not getting this in digital? But it's one of those where, because then I can play it Thursday at midnight, but I always buy them physical.
If you
Zelda games.
If you buy it digital, then you're going to get to play it
Thursday
at midnight, right? But you'll probably you might not even play it at midnight. You probably would because it's Zelda, but you're only going to play it for an hour, maybe two.
An hour. I'm older.
Yeah, exactly. And then you need to go to bed.
You're right. You're absolutely right. Because when we were younger, 12 o'clock to 4 o'clock was nothing. So a midnight launch was worth it because you would get it, you would come home, and you would play it for 4 or 5 hours.
Yep.
But see now, you wait up to 12, you're already tired. Sometimes you only play half an hour and go, yeah, it's good, I'll play it in the morning. That's what happens every time now.
And fair enough, you've got it to play first thing in the morning, but like you'd be the same as me. We have responsibilities that we need to deal with in the morning, taking kids to school and shit, and going to work.
I won't get to play it till lunchtime because
exactly.
Leo's. And even then, it will depend on his nap because he's at the stage now where sometimes he's not going for any naps, which always happens just in the run up to nursery, as you know, and he's a few months away from going to nursery finally because he's not 3 yet till August. So I've got Leo all day myself, and he does not give me fucking peace to play.
Nope.
And like, even if I hand him Lexi's Switch, he wants mine. He wants to know whatever I'm doing. See if I give him Lexi's iPad thinking I can play mine, he wants Daddy's iPad. See if I hand him like the second controller. He's not like Lexi. Lexi wouldn't clock. She would sit with the second controller, think she was playing it. Leo was like, I want that one.
But do you know what I'm looking forward to with Zelda? Is having a nice big game on the Switch to get my teeth sunk into because it's been a long time.
Yeah, it's been a while for you.
Had a good game to play on Switch since Metroid Dread. Like obviously I've been playing Final Fantasy VIII, but
that's a good game though.
That's like Final Fantasy VIII is a game I played before, and pretty much all of it I know what it is apart from.
And it's not really a Switch game; it's just on Switch.
It's a remaster of an old PS1 game, but this is an actual like full on Switch game. So I'm looking forward to like getting stuck into that with like a proper game. Because I think
this one will take you 3 years.
No, I've really enjoyed playing Metroid Dread on my Switch, and like I was playing it fucking all the time. Like any chance I had, like anytime I'm just sitting watching TV, I was playing Metroid Dread all the time, and I just expect that I'll be the same with Zelda. And I'm
still really proud of both of us for finishing that game because it was balls to the wall.
Dread, Dread was hard. It's fucking good though. Like I enjoyed that game so much.
It's a game that it's the virtual pats and the backs that are timed perfectly, and like Zelda's kind of similar. Like you feel smart figuring out puzzles, and that's why I love Zelda because you don't miss achievements and trophies popping up in those games because figuring out the things, it's like aha moments you get to yourself. Like
definitely.
You've got a perfect time for it because you're away again with work. Because I was wondering if we're going to do a show tonight because obviously you were away, but you're away tomorrow, is it, for 3 days?
Thursday I'm away until Monday, so
so you have got a nice wee hotel to stay in, no pestering at home, even though your wife works later and like your daughter's at school, but you've got perfect peace and quiet just to sit and play. Although I guarantee you a couple of those nights you end up in the pub for longer than you should be, and but you need to source it on Friday because fine well that especially in Scotland there's a chance of that game selling out in shops. I don't mean selling out, I just mean shops run out of stock.
Yep, I'll be going to do that on first thing Friday morning probably or lunchtime if I don't get a chance tomorrow.
What I would do is go on the Thursday. If you're going to game, slap a £3 pre-order down so that you can get it.
That's probably not a bad idea. But they don't. I think they've only got one of them like games that are inside the fucking GD Sports or whatever. You know?
No. As far as I know, it's an actual. Well,
It's a proper game.
I think it's a proper game.
I'll find out. I'll work it out.
I would definitely go on the Thursday and slap it down, but I'll tell you why. Because Breath of the Wild sold out in the stores here because I got it physical.
Yeah,
I'd already pre-ordered. And do you know why? Because people love Zelda. Remember, Switch, not everyone had there was more copies of Zelda sold at one point than Switches.
Switches, yeah, at the beginning, yeah, it was funny.
So, like, this could be the same, and it's not, like, see, if you're watching this and you're, like, in New York, Los Angeles, London, you'll be able to buy it. But see, in Scotland, if your game shop has got 30 copies, it's not going to get any more till the Monday.
Yeah. At least the Monday.
At least the Monday, because there's plenty of places that close down. So, yeah, I'm looking forward to it a lot because I've missed Breath of the Wild. Like, Breath of the Wild was a play, and I'm glad this is a sequel because I loved that world. Like, Zelda games, as you know, traditionally, apart from the Wind Waker sequels that came to DS, traditionally, those games move on every single time. They're an evolution, or they change things up, or an iteration. This is the first proper, apart from Majora's Mask, but this feels like a fuller title. Majora's Mask was almost more of a spin-off than a full big title. This feels like because Majora's Mask was also kind of parallel worlds, didn't really fit. You know, it was that craziness of the time going spin-off almost. Whereas this is the full fucking shabam, and this is the first one that's only for Switch. Because if you remember, Breath of the Wild was designed for Wii U, which means it was older hardware. So this is going to look better, it's going to run better, and it's like from what I've seen, RGT says, because obviously people have been playing this for a week if you've got an emulator for a Switch, and there's already the day one patch that's available, and people are already patching it illegally and playing it illegally. That's their choice. But like he said, that apparently the day one patch significantly increases the graphics and frame rate.
Nice.
And I was saying that a lot of reviewers won't have that patch yet because these are stolen files these guys have been installing. Because as you know, day one patches only pop on day one. And I know that from reviewing tons of games. But yeah, the Tears of the Kingdom could be getting a few points shaved off for a few places because of how it looks and runs.
I don't know. I think a lot of people will just be like, it's Zelda, it's 9 out of 10.
Zelda, it's 9, 10 out of 10. I think it's going to be 9s, 10s across the board with occasional 8 and 7.
Yep.
I don't think this is going to be a 60% at all. Because from what I can see, it's more of the same, which is good because I like Breath of the Wild. But with crafting, and like I said, it's the same world map, but it's got sky islands that you can zoom up to and jump from. And it's also seemed to have caverns and dungeons as well added. So I'm really excited. So it's going to be bigger and better. But I do agree with what you're saying. I don't think it's going to be that much of a evolution from Breath of the Wild to make it like your game of the year anyway. Yeah. Final Fantasy 16, if it was open world, would be a no-brainer. Do you know? I just can't believe that they've gone to this. Like, who was asking for that? Who said? Do you know what we hate about Final Fantasy is the open world? Did they not remember what happened with 13? They gave you an open world, but it wasn't to the end, and everybody went nuts.
Everyone hated it. Like most people didn't even get to the open world. Like
no. But there is an open world because I'm at the open world. I need to go back to that eventually. But Final Fantasy 16, they're just like, it's just like you select you've got a hub world and you select where you're going to and you teleport to that world and then you teleport back after. I'm like, I don't like that's
one of the coolest things about 15 was like having the car and like being able to drive along the road and have the music on and stuff. And it was just a nice
exploring.
Chill atmosphere,
I don't even care about the car, but why can't I just explore? Like, it's been so long because, like, Final Fantasy 12, since we last properly were just able to like properly explore. I know you could in 15 as well, but I will get it. I've already got it pre-ordered digital. Like, but I just that's let me down a bit. Starfield as well, microtransactions and stuff, and the way that Xbox are just throwing games out, just going, we need something out there. It doesn't give me good fucking.
Let's talk about Redfall very briefly before we kind of finish up here. Like, so like we both played Redfall as well.
Yeah.
And Redfall is okay.
It's a fine game that does everything fine. But that's its biggest problem for me, is because it comes from a studio that's done the likes of Dishonored and what was that time loop game that was okay?
Prey was another that as well. And
they had Prey as well, but
Deathloop.
Yeah. I didn't mind Deathloop, it just wasn't really for me, but it was polished. This has been fucking rushed out the door, man, and I feel so sorry for the developers. Phil Spencer's went in and goes, release it, and they're like, but we don't even have cutscenes, we've just got these stop motion comics, and he's like, I don't give a shit about cutscenes and storyline. But hold on, Phil, we've not got everything in place.
We need a game now. Nintendo's about to put out fucking Tears of the Kingdom. Like, we need a game.
The worst thing about Redfall is it's Xbox's first next gen exclusive.
Mm-hmm.
And it's come out in the shade. I'm not saying it's a bad game, but we said earlier that Jedi Survivor was like maybe 95% finished. This is 75, 80% finished. Like there's a lot more choppiness in this. And it's a fucking shame, man, because I'm like, the amount of times I cheesed bosses in it just because they get stuck. And I'm just like, okay, you're stuck there, but aren't you a ghost?
Locked at 30 frames a second as well. Definitely noticeable.
They announced before it came out that a 60 FPS patch was coming out after it released, which says to me that Phil walked in and goes, release it, and they went, but we haven't even done the menu options, Phil. Like, don't give a shit. Don't give a shit.
Like there is some kind of fun parts to it, like playing in multiplayer though.
Because at least Survivor, if we've got to say, it does have performance and quality mode.
Yeah, and like I put it on performance and never bother looking at quality mode.
And see, this is what I do with every game. We'll talk about that. Performance, because 60 frames per second is next game. Mm-hmm. Film grain, get to fuck. Motion blur, get to fuck. Like, see all these bullshit options. I don't know who they're for, but it makes the game look fucking awful. See, unless it's a cowboy game or a mafia game, film grain looks awful. I want to play shiny Star Wars.
Cyberpunk.
It's meant to be a shiny neon city. Why do I want this? And then motion blur. It's like, I don't want that. Seasickness in a game is a feature. No.
Redfall. I have enjoyed playing it in multiplayer. I've played maybe a couple hours of it with Mark and Ian, and like we had a decent enough time with it. But to me, it's Dead Island, but with vampires instead of zombies. That's all it is.
It's Left 4 Dead with a hub world.
Yeah, and like, the enemies are garbage enemies. Like they're easy to kill.
Awful. And they're just sponges if they're bosses.
AI. Yeah, the bosses are sponges.
Vampires sometimes have a shield that you just need to wait a couple of seconds before each shot.
Yeah, and you're just going around and you're just picking up loads and loads of random shit loot that you don't care
Borderlands. About. It's like Borderlands a bit. And then it's like
loads of guns as well that are like, you've got so many in your inventory, like, I don't even know what the fuck
I hate games like that. Like, see, one of the biggest things that Ubisoft ever done for me was in Ghost Recon Breakpoint. You know, that one with Shane from The Walking Dead, Punisher. They added in a realism mode that took away, like, oh, this is the same gun, but this one's purple, so it's stronger. I prefer it where there's a handgun. That's it. Like Resident Evil, there's a machine gun. That's it. You can upgrade it, but it's just a machine gun. There's no purple version.
The cool thing with Resident Evil ones is, like, when you upgrade it, it fucking changes how the gun looks. And you're like, like I've got a longer barrel, or like I've got like a stock and stuff like that. You're like, cool. This actually changes the aesthetic look of the gun. So I'm feeling that I've been upgraded.
Whereas games like this that seem to me to have spawned from the first Division game, which at the time was fine because there's nothing else like it.
Different coloured guns. Like, here's a purple gun. It's the same looking as the green gun.
Same, but it's only a level. It's a level 1. You've got a level 5 green gun.
Fortnite as well. Like
Fortnite does it, as well. Here's a legendary version. You don't notice it as much in that because it's a throwaway game. It's a player match and you're done. But see a game like this that's got an actual story told in motion comic cutscenes that are clearly added in because they didn't have cinematics finished. 100%. That's why they're there. In a AAA title, you do not put cutscenes in like that.
Yeah, way faster than that.
That's what happened. I guarantee you, Phil went, you've got... at the beginning, but I guarantee what happened was Phil went, you've got a month, and they went, fuck, we don't have these cutscenes done. Motion comic it. That's what's happened.
Yeah.
So it's kind of boring as well. There is a secondary kind of island. Like, I didn't fully finish the game, maybe about 90%. I got to the second area, which it's just bullshit. You kind of get stuck there, like once you finish off in the town, and I'm like, it's not a very long game. I probably could go and finish it with a couple more hours, but I was like, I've had enough. Like, I've seen everything it's going to throw at me. Like, every boss battle is the same. You don't need strategy for any of them. There is a difficulty peak, maybe just over halfway through. But again, I say that lightly. I get stuck twice. Once I couldn't find a key down by the docks. And then another time I was in one of these houses and the enemy I was meant to kill glitched. So I had to fucking just stop the whole game and restart it because he spawned like under the floor or something like that. And I'm like... great.
Have you noticed,
I
like,
can't
seeing
kill.
the kill animations as well? So, like, you know, when you shoot the vampires and then they're like, oh, stake me. You just wait for you to stake them. See, when you go
Yeah.
up and stake them, like, see if they're anywhere near a wall at all, it like fucking glitches you through the wall when you see, like, in
Yep.
behind the wall into, like, whatever the next room is. You're like, that shouldn't.
Now, they are going to work in this, but it's come out the gate tarnished. No one's going to be playing this by the time it's fixed. Everyone's played this and went...
Anyone that would have wanted to play it has already played it and finished it if they were going to finish it and beyond that.
And anyone that's interested in trying it has played it and went, I'm done with this. But, like, it's a shame because the studio it's come from is known for a high pedigree of games. Like, those games are extremely polished, whether you like them or not. And, like, Deathloop wasn't for me, but Dishonored was awesome. Like, Dishonored was really good, and Prey seemed quite cool. I've just never played it. I should probably now it's on Xbox. I just never get around to playing that one. Yeah. Well, they own the studio now, but, like, I mean, I just never bought it when it came out. But for this to come from a studio like that, it's like, that's not great. And the first AAA Xbox title, and it's kind of pissed me off with Xbox because it's like, where the fuck's your games? Stop fucking trying to buy Call of Duty and make Fable. Where's my Gears of War game? Like, go and fucking make games. Phil fucking Spencer coming out saying it's not great games that would bring people to Xbox. Maybe not, but it would help if you had some games to fucking play there. Like, it used to be, there's going to be no console war soon because it's like, folk laughed at Xbox saying you had no games during the Xbox One era. We're 3 years in and we've got this. Everything else I can play on my PlayStation. Like, if it wasn't for Game Pass, I would have sold my Series X by now. And I would go, I'll buy one when fucking Gears comes out because there's nothing for it.
Yeah.
Absolutely nothing. Look, we're coming into summer, mate. I thought Forza was coming this spring. I don't know what they're fucking doing. Stop hiring people if the people you've got can't make games, or, like, hire faster workers. Like, I don't know.
How long have they had some of these studios for? Like, even the Bethesda ones, and, like, how many games have they put out? Like, they've put out
one, Redfall.
Like, this is
Redfall.
the first one.
But again, that was in that was being made before the bottom.
Yeah, and I mean, even the other ones that came out, like Deathloop and Ghostwire Tokyo and stuff like that, those were, like, well in the pipeline before they bought them over. So, like,
the crazy thing is, and Spawnwave pointed this out, what would Redfall look like if it had released last year when it was meant to, if this is what it looks like now?
Yeah. Real bad.
It doesn't even look next gen. It looks like shit. And usually with quality mode, it looks good, but the camera's bollocks. Everything's just bollocks about this when you play it. Like,
you didn't pick up Dead Island 2, did you?
No, I didn't.
I'm gonna pick that up when it comes a bit cheaper because I want to play it. It looks fun enough.
And, like, wasn't the biggest fan, but I've heard really good things about it. If you like Dead Island, and I know you quite like the first one.
I didn't mind it.
You played Dying Light.
And same with Dying Light. Like, I didn't mind Dying Light. It was a bit too serious for me, and I didn't like the parkour that much. But, like, I played Dead Island 2 and, like, 10 years ago, and I want to play it now. It's like
you did. Went through so many development teams. Like,
it's
unreal that I still can't believe, because remember I said I ain't queuing for that, and I played Dead Island Escape instead, and I quite liked that. Escape Dead Island. It was actually all right. That was the third person one. I really enjoyed that one. But yeah, like, Dead Island 2 is not really one for me. That's the thing. Like, apart from Resident Evil, zombie games don't really appeal to me that much. Dead Rising's okay, but it kind of went. It got really good in the third one, and then 4 came out, and I never really played much of it. So I don't know. Like, I don't think Dead Island will be for me. And plus, like, Zelda is going to take me.
Oh yeah.
Like, I think Final Fantasy will come out. I probably won't have finished Zelda when Final Fantasy comes out, because Final Fantasy is out in June.
Yep.
And then usually the summer is you go back and finish the smaller games that you haven't finished, remember? Because there's nothing out for July and August. Well, guess what? We've got 2 of the biggest fucking RPGs within 3 weeks of each other, because I'm sure it's the 16th of June.
We've got 42 games to beat.
Starfield.
Well, Ali. 42 games.
I know it's not happening for me, even though last year I finished 30 odd, but like Starfield, do you know, just as we get clear of Final Fantasy and Zelda, well, I do anyway, like, Starfield's going to come out and it's going to set us back again.
Yep.
See, if I was Xbox, and I'll say this right now, if Starfield isn't absolutely fucking perfect, delay it. I don't give a shit. Delay it. Just
I think they will.
delay it
Except
again.
for Redfall, unless it is like spot on, they will delete it.
But it's the fact Phil Spencer said there's no world where it's an 11 out of 10 people sell the PlayStation. It's like, but they should want to sell the PlayStation to get an Xbox if it's that good, Phil. You don't seem to be getting the... And some people were commenting saying after Phil's comments recently, he could be moving on. Like, if he keeps this up and the game quality isn't... If Starfield comes out and it gets like 7 out of 10, Phil might be on...
Do you know what? Like, I don't think so, because I think Phil Spencer's done something that no one fucking does, and he's come out and...
Game Pass?
Candid. Like, just come out and like be an actual fucking person. And like
Reggie did.
These other, well, Reggie did it, yeah, but like these other executives that pop up every now and again.
Bowser that's non-existent.
Bowser that's non-existent, and fucking what's his name from PlayStation?
Jim.
Whatever his name is, I can't remember now.
Ryan, is it Jim Ryan?
Jim Ryan, yeah, you're right. When they come out, they reel off the fucking spiel
stats, figures,
whatever the buzzwords are that you've been told, the corporate speak, and you're like, great, cool, that's amazing. But like Phil Spencer fucking goes on like kind of funny and does like what, an hour interview, just like talking about how Xbox is doing and like different things that's happening and things, and you feel like it's actually genuine from him. You're like, okay, there's obviously a bit of corporate stuff and he can't tell you everything, but there's something to that, like that he can come out and be open and candid.
There is, but somebody looked up Phil Spencer's gamer tag, and after everything he said about Redfall, he actually only played the game for half an hour.
I mean, that's the thing though. Like, see, with people like that and their actual like gamer tag, right? You know that they'll have been playing that game months before it came out. Like, because see, if I'm the fucking head of Xbox or PlayStation or whatever, you can guarantee I'm getting that code way before it ever comes out, like months before it comes out.
Oh, you'll have it on your console as a build. You'll have a development build. You'll be like, send me the latest build to my Xbox.
But it will either not have like the achievements built into it yet, or
the time and stuff like that. Yeah.
Or it'll be like a secret, or it'll be like you'll have to play it on a secret profile because of like NDAs or whatever. Which he's like,
it won't be his public
I'll
profile.
play the game. That's fine. So yeah, I don't put any stock into these type of people's public profile. Like, if they say they played the game for 20 hours, they played the game for 20 hours. Like, I don't care what it says.
And he's probably as well went to the studio and sat down in front of a PC build of it and sat with a controller and played it. But at some point, Phil has to answer to the money guys. He's the kind of bridge between the developers and the money guys, and he's went there and said they need this game out next week. But he did say that he missed the mark on Redfall. At least he came out and made it. But Sony wouldn't admit failing any of their games.
No, they would never do.
They wouldn't. They would say
they just say
classic.
They just don't say anything.
They wouldn't say anything.
Yeah,
they wouldn't say anything. But Phil came out and said, "We missed the mark. We can't do it again." That's what he said.
Yep.
But it's Xbox hit this generation on the ground running, because see, by the time the Xbox One X came out, that was a good fucking machine.
Yeah.
It knew what it wanted to do. Series X came out. We had Game Pass to go into it with. Brilliant. We're 3 years on and we're still waiting for games, though. That's the problem. Say what you like about Sony, but they had Ratchet and Clank. They had fucking Gran Turismo 7 ready. They've had their hitters.
It's not all of them fully exclusive games, but they're exclusive.
God of War is.
No, but I mean to PlayStation 5.
God of War Ragnarok isn't on PC yet, is it?
It's on PS4. So I mean, because obviously like Halo came out, and
Ratchet and Clank.
Also on Xbox.
Ratchet and Clank was out within 6 months and was PS5 only.
Yeah, and Demon's Souls as well.
Demon's Souls was out day one.
Remake, but it's like so much of a remake.
Oh, it was a different game.
Different game.
But like, but that's what I mean. There's two games right there that you can only play on PS5, and they were out within the first 6 months. Demon's Souls day one, Ratchet and Clank 6 months after. There's been nothing for Series X.
There is other ones. There's not been many good other ones.
No. I was just meaning within obviously you dash
like
Astrobot and things like
that. Well, Astro was fucking great, to be fair. Like as a launch game, that free
wasn't a full
game, amazing.
It wasn't like a full blown title or anything.
I mean, I played it for over 10 hours, and like,
you did, but you're strange. But like, it was more like a tech demo, done really well in the form of a mini game thing. But again, with that, like. See, when I bought my here's the thing. When I bought my PlayStation, I felt like I'd bought into the future. Like, see, when I turned it on, new interface, new controller. See, when I turned the Series X on, it's like same controller, same interface.
Yeah.
I didn't feel like I'd upgraded, and I still don't. I felt like, when you get the new iPhone, well, the new Samsung iPhone or whatever, it's just if you've been using a Samsung and you get the next Samsung, you're like, oh, cool, it's slightly clearer screen. That's what happened with my Series X. See, when I get rid of my PS4 and I got my PS5, I've still got my PS4. I never sold it. When I got my PS5, I was like, this is the future. Like the haptics, everything comes together. See, when the fucking rumble starts in games and it's designed for haptics, it's now becoming as annoying as my Switch is when it tries to do HD rumble, because you can tell the programming's been putting that for fucking haptics, because haptics are now compatible with PC as well. Yeah. And when it's happening on the Xbox, it's just rattly feeling now. It doesn't feel good. So I've now turned off rumble on my Xbox because it's backwards. They need to release an elite. This is the problem as well. And for them to do it, they need to release an elite controller. But they shouldn't have to release an elite controller, because do you remember the 360 generation when they improved the pad?
Right.
They just brought out another version of it and said, this is now the default pad. And the same for the original Xbox. It's like, here's the pad.
And they did it on Xbox One as well, actually, now that I think of it. Because remember, the first one that came out, it didn't have a 3.5mm audio jack. It had the proprietary, like,
they just brought out another one.
To plug the fucking the adapter into.
Yeah. So what they need to
version of the controller, more than one new version of the controller, actually.
Just get rid of the pack-in series controller and bring one out with haptics, and that's one step towards being this gen. Because the things I know you'll probably agree, the things that make this gen for me are 60 FPS and haptic feedback. More so than anything, graphics at a third. Graphics come third. But like those three things combined. But it's the fact that Xbox didn't even bother making a new dashboard for the Series X. Why would you not just make it look slightly different than my Xbox One? Yeah, I've had that dashboard for months.
I think they just wanted uniformity, like so that people were just carrying over, but it didn't make it exciting for new people.
It didn't make it special.
Yeah.
It didn't make it special at all. It's like, see when this phone packs in at some point, right? Which is going to, because I'm at the twice a day charging point of it. It's like, when I get my new, it's the iPhone 12. When I get my new iPhone, it's not going to feel like an upgrade. It's just going to be like, oh, my phone works again. And it's like, see when I had my Samsung S20 and then I got the S22, it's like, oh, it's clearer, but
yeah, I had that going from
fucking what?
I had that going from the Note 20 Ultra to the S23 Ultra. It's like,
yeah,
the battery's a bit better. Like that's it. Like something
but that's what happened with my Series X, and it's so disappointing. And it's now the third year, and I'm like, when this generation started, I was Xbox, because that's where I had been for a while. PlayStation 4 kind of nosedived at the end for me, and it never really came back. Like God of War was decent, but it took me a long time to finish that. But then my PS5 has been knocking it out of the park since the day I got it. Like everything about it. Like the one thing, if I had a gripe about the PS5, is they've tried to like hide your friends menu, like for no reason.
Yeah.
And the fact that I can't hold in my power button still to turn the console off like in PS4, I have to, I hate that. And it's just a small thing, but at least my menu looks new. My controller feels fucking good, even though it runs out. I have to charge it at least once a day, but it's like,
the battery's not great on them.
Oh, the battery's awful in the DualSense, like really bad. But it feels like if I'm playing a game, like I'm running in Jedi Survivor, I'm feeling Cal's feet. On the Xbox, that doesn't feel like footsteps. It feels like a fucking broken vibration inside. And that's the problem when the vibration tries to emulate haptics. And I think that's what's happened with the Switch, because the HD Rumble isn't full haptic feedback. It's got small haptics, and it's got haptic sensors in it, as you know, so it feels. But see, the Rumble, HD Rumble, is what's now happening on the Xbox, because it's trying to keep up with games that are programmed for haptics. So I'm sorry, but part of my next gen experience is a bit like wireless controllers became standard. I couldn't go back to a wild one now. I hate them.
Yeah.
Haptics is now fucking standard for me. So see, every time I have to play my Xbox for something, I'm like, oh, here we fucking go. And if I've not turned the Rumble off yet for the game, it's like,
yeah, I'm like, a table, man. Like, oh
yeah.
So loud.
No, I should feel the footsteps. I should feel the rain, like Returnal, man. As much as that game is fucking too hard for me,
that was
the rain
game, Returnal, yeah.
Yeah, I suppose as well. But good game, but not for me.
No,
it's a game that if somebody like Darren get into, he could backflip out. My biggest problem was it rearranged the level every time he died. And I get the whole point in rogue games, but it's like, then I can't learn, because from what I've seen online, the guide says we can't really write a guide. We can help you through some of the rooms, but because it's randomized, it depends if you get a good run or a bad run, and you don't know if you've got a bad run till you hit the boss room, because you could go through and it could be like weapons, small enemies, boss, or it could just be enemies, no ammo. And it's like most of the time it felt like I was getting to this last boss and running out of ammo. So yeah. Wasn't one for me. Well, not even the last boss of the fucking second world or something like that. I just couldn't get past it. I'm like, I've not hit that good run yet, and I'm not prepared to. It felt like my skill was at a level where it had peaked at that point. And I really wanted to be able to get better at the game, but how can you when it's random? So yeah. And it just annoyed me, because that has the best realistic. See that? Like, if they could do that rain pitter patter and like have a VR headset on, like that would be incredible, man. Because that felt like the only way to describe it to people is it was like it was raining inside my controller, like the rain hitting off a window, but inside the palm of my hands. Yep. It was unreal. But yeah, Xbox very lagging behind, and I'm a big Xbox fan. But I honestly think Xbox is going to have to pick up at the end of the generation again, because this is halfway through the life cycle. This is 3 years on. Seeing in 3 years, we'll be talking about the next Xbox and the PS6 in 3 years, mate. So
like, I would say at this point in the gen, right, I've probably played both consoles about equally, but a lot of that's to do with,
I would agree,
because I've played the multiplayer so much on Xbox. And but if you look at like my game spend, right, so like the actual games that I've purchased, I've bought one game on Xbox, one game, and that was Yakuza.
Yakuza, worth it, because it was exclusive for half a year or something.
Yeah, I don't think I've bought any other games on this fucking console at all. Like everything else I've played through Game Pass. Bought one game, and on PlayStation I've bought fucking loads and loads of games. Like if it's a multi-platform game, I will buy it on PlayStation every single time, because like you said, the controller's better, haptics, all that. Plus, 100%, and I'm loads faster. Like 100% loads faster.
And do you know what they need to fucking patch out? See this quick resume bullshit. Sometimes I'll be playing a game on Xbox and it'll lag, and I'm like, why is this doing this? And I'll hit my menu button and it's like, look, this is still in quick resume. But see if the game's online with any shape or form, and you go to quick resume, it has to go back to the main menu anyway, so it doesn't fucking work. Absolute bullshit.
They automatically put stuff in there, like fucking Fortnite goes in there anytime I play it, and I'm like, why? But
then when you go back into it, it doesn't even resume it at the menu. It has to reload the game. Or even something like Ghost Recon, it has to be online. Well, it doesn't. Sorry, mostly online. If you leave it at, say, the base, play another game, you go in quick resume, it says your session's been logged out, you've been returned to the main menu. It's like, well, what's the point in quick resume then? When like 80% of games these days has an online component that's constant. Oh my god! So yeah, there's Xbox. I don't know
what that does as well with the quick resume, right? Quick resume fucks your download speed if you're downloading a game.
It puts it to like nothing, and like
nothing. Yeah.
And like I said, if you're playing a second game, it makes it run slower because that console's holding 2 games in its memory, and it's like, why?
It's so dumb.
Like a good idea in principle, but see when I'm playing my PlayStation, I load something, it's like, I'm like, wow, good, great, that's brilliant. But again, it's so yeah. But do you know what I've spent the most on this generation? Switch, because you kind of stopped playing your Switch 2 years ago. Like, well, you never stopped playing it, but you wound down games for it because nothing was really coming out appealing for you. For me, the Switch hasn't stopped. Like banger after banger after banger after banger, and for me anyway, and I'm like, yeah, I need to get that. Yeah, I need to get that. And I know there's a few games you still need to pick up, like obviously Bayonetta 3, Metroid Prime at some point, the remasters, and like there's a couple other ones, but like
Kirby,
for you,
the Kirby game looks fun.
Oh, Kirby is fun. I need to get back to that. But like for me, it's like, oh yeah. Like Switch has not slowed down from day one. There's maybe been a few months where I've put the Switch down, not really played it, but I don't know. Just the Switch is. I understand why there's no rush for another Switch. And see if Tears of the Kingdom comes out on Friday, and it's like, holy shit, there's no need for another Switch. Nintendo, Nintendo. This is what people forget. YouTubers are trying to like rush to this next generation. They have for the past 4 years. Nintendo don't give a shit. That's
No,
still
they don't.
selling.
Nintendo doesn't care now.
That will still sell. And see, but they're like, oh, but third party Nintendo don't care. See, as long as Nintendo can do Nintendo stuff and you're still buying the console, well, why are we rushing to release the next one, guys? That's what they're doing in the boardroom. They're like, it's still the best selling console. It's still outselling Series X and it's fucking 7 years old. So, yeah, Nintendo don't give a shit. And also, in Japan, even if the sales start slowing over here, Japan, the sales ain't slowing for years. Mm-hmm. Even a decade from now, folk will still be playing Switch in Japan.
Because I mean, they still buy fucking 3DS and stuff like that all the time.
3DS still charts in Japan to this day. It's unreal. So, yeah, like, Switch is a solid console, man. It's got staying power. And, like, there's never been an issue with, like, maybe for you for interest, but there's never been an issue with high quality exclusive titles on the Switch. They're constant. 3 years into Switch, are you kidding? The library they had that was worth playing compared to what Xbox has got, even compared to PlayStation 5. But PlayStation 5 is miles ahead of Xbox at this point for games that are worthwhile trying. I'm starting to lose faith in Xbox. I really am at this point. I'm like, you can't even release a game that I was mildly interested in a decent shape. You've got fuck all for the rest of the year apart from Starfield. Like, I don't get it.
There is plenty of indie games out there, right? There are great games that are on Game Pass.
Not what I bought my console for. Not what 90% of people bought it for.
100%, yeah. But like, there is loads of games out there you can play that are good fun, but just not that like high quality like AAA
Premium
PlayStation are doing. Like, there's nothing like God of War. Nothing like God of War on Xbox.
Where's the Indiana Jones game you talked about 4 years ago?
Oh yeah, like that would be fun.
Where's that?
Fun to play.
Where's Perfect Dark that you told us when you bought the fucking studio?
Fable.
Was it who was it you gave it to? Yeah, Fable. That's apparently been written 2 years ago. Like, where's that game? So this is what I mean. Like, I can see these games coming out in abundance, but by that point, we're all talking about the next gen Xbox, and it's like, what's the point? And I'm like, at what point do I jump off? Because I could pretty much get what I paid for my Series X right now. Would I regret selling my Series X? Well, I would, because I write for the Xbox Hubs, obviously. But hear me out. What if I sold it, saved half of it, and spent the other half on a Series S? Would I really regret it for what we're getting this year?
I don't think you would. Really not.
At this point, see, last year I'd have been like, shut up. But see, at this point, this is what my brain's going to. It's like, I don't even like turning it on.
When's the last time you put the disc in the drive as well?
I don't think I've put a disc in the Xbox Series.
Exactly. And the only
I generally don't think I have.
Yeah, the only discs I've put in it are Yakuza, like at launch basically, and Assassin's Creed 1. It's the only discs I've put in my series.
I don't think I've put a disc in my Series X.
There's the only two discs I've ever put in my Series X. Like the other one, I've never put any of the other discs in.
Guardians of the Galaxy. I bought physical.
Oh, it's a Galaxy. Okay.
When was that? 2 years ago?
Yeah, a year or two ago, yeah.
2 years ago was the last time I put a disc in the disc drive. So, the other thing is, though, I could see this generation being extended slightly. Because of people not being able to buy one for like the first 2 years. You know, like, it's only now that you can walk in a shop and just buy one of them. Like, see, even last year, you weren't able to just walk in and buy.
Yep. I mean, they made a big advertising campaign when PS5s became available. Like, they were like, PlayStation 5 now available. And you're like, it's fucking 2023. Like,
because I remember, that's what I mean. My wee cousin got one at the end of last year, and he was like, "Oh, I'm glad jumping on this the first year." I went, "Mate, we're coming into the third year."
Yep.
He goes, "Oh, but they haven't been available, really." And I'm like, "You're right."
Yeah.
You're right. Series S was always available though, but then see, this is the other thing though. Xbox has got unbeatable backwards compatibility. Like, I can't, I could pay for it, but I can't just jump on and play Force Unleashed on the PlayStation unless I'm paying for the PS Plus, whatever it is.
And that's not worth paying for. Trust me, as
it's
a person that has been subscribed to it for almost a year now.
Oh no, I can see the game.
I could count on one hand.
Yeah, I do watch the games being added to it and stuff, and like even the classics library. I'm like, why have you not? Why is this not bigger? Why is there not more?
Classics is horrific. That's the big problem with it. Like the the lower tier is fine. The extra tier,
The middle tier.
probably worth it. Yeah. Because there's a nice big library and they add games to it like every month, and it's like decent sized games that if you haven't played them before, like they're worthwhile playing. A lot of them, like most of them I've played already, but there's some things where I'm like, oh yeah, I'll try that. Like I'm playing Monster Boy just now. That's quite fun.
Yeah, but then like, you're talking about the classics being crap there, and you don't play a Switch online service knocks it out the fucking park every few months with the games that drops there, man. Like honestly,
like, there you go.
It's like Zelda. Here's a Metroid fucking like Zero Mission's coming soon, but you've got Fusion on it there, like unreal. So yeah, I would say the Switch Online Plus is the most, apart from Game Pass, it's the better
because
value.
Because it's so cheap. Like because the Switch One's so cheap. It's like 20 quid a year.
20 quid a year.
30 quid a year, sorry. Like, but you can probably get it less than that.
30 for the premium one.
Yeah, for the premium one, but you can probably get it less than that if you shop around.
Oh yeah, you probably could. But yeah, I just don't know. Like, you can't beat Xbox for backwards compatibility. The fact as well, I could load up Force Unleashed. I can play my save from the 360.
Yeah.
Not streamed. That's the biggest problem is PlayStation 3 is dead on the PS4 and 5 for backwards compatibility. Don't get me wrong, PS4 backwards compatibility is absolutely fine, but PS3, nothing. And there's also no reason for it not to have a PS1 and PS2 emulator built in that I can just get discs and put them in it. But then they've obviously thought we can't make money off of them because we don't make them anymore. So we'd only make money off digital sales. And the amount of folk that would just all of a sudden go out and buy PlayStation games again. So there's no money in that for them. But Xbox at least have allowed you to do it with your digital collection. But the unfortunate thing is because of PS3's architecture, it won't work properly. If somebody could wake up and just crack that, I'm pretty sure Sony would just open it up.
I mean, they're not far away from cracking it. Like, there's people online that are nearly there.
It's not fully there. Like, I think you can play games.
20 years. Like, more than that, actually.
Yeah, 20 years. Well, we did originally hope that it would open, and we did have. Remember, we thought that you played Astrobot and you would unlock the emulators because it was kind of felt that way.
It would have been so cool, like if that was like what it did. But
and they also remember because they were making comments that it was possible, but they just didn't implement it in time because of when they had to launch.
Yeah.
So I'm like, oh, why can you not go back to that comment that you made, Jim Ryan?
They could still add it as part of like PlayStation Plus Premium or whatever. But
absolutely, that's what it will be. PlayStation 2 emulate and put your disc in because it can read DVDs. Put your disc in, you can now play your games, but you have to pay us. That would be their way about navigating, not making money off the game sold. Would be you have to get the premium tier.
And I wouldn't mind that so much.
See, at that point, I would pay for it because I've got a PlayStation 2 library sitting here that I would play.
Yeah, and I think that would be acceptable.
Enter the Matrix on my PS5, 100%. Which is 20 years old.
Surely that's older than 20 years now.
No, 20 years old just now. 2003, Matrix Reloaded, and that came out.
Oh, okay. Because, like, I mean, PS4's 10 years old now.
Yeah, and I'm saying 20 years, like 2003.
Yeah, because the PS3 gen was longer. Yeah.
And it started in 2007, PS3.
Yeah.
Yeah, but anyway, we'll finish up there. Sorry we've been away for so long. Hopefully we'll back with another one next week. I'd like to, so that we could join back again.
I think we need to, so we can talk about Zelda.
Yeah, the big one. So hopefully you guys all get Zelda. You won't get me on Twitter, but you might find Andy on Twitter. He'll see any messages. Hopefully it's posted there. But I haven't had it on my phone. And I'm not missing it, so it's not going back on. Do you know what I do find quite annoying about not having Twitter? I'll be honest. I don't miss it becoming Facebook. What I miss is it was my easy way of finding news without having to go to websites, like because it would be in my feed, and I'd be like, "Oh, cool, that's coming out. Oh, cool, that's coming out." Whereas now I'm like, I don't know what's happening. I need to go and read some stuff now, so I'm actually having to go to websites. Whereas in Twitter, I had it set up so that basically the sites that I followed was posting my stuff. But anyway, thank you very much for tuning in and watching. If you have, leave us a comment what you think about Zelda if you're watching this after Friday, and we'll be back on Tuesday. I hope. If not, we'll be back next week. We'll talk about Zelda. I'm going to go and play some more Star Wars Jedi Survivor. And do you think you'll have it finished for Friday?
No.
I don't either.
No.
Nah.
Because
I'm
going away, there's no way I'll finish it.
You could. You should. But you won't.
I won't.
But you'll finish it. I know you'll finish it because you like that.
I will finish it.
Anyway, we'll see you next time. Thank you. Bye.
Bye.